giving you useful and practical tips to help you make more money selling travel. This is the Art of Selling Travel podcast. And here to guide you through it all, your host, Glenda Beagle.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Art of Selling Travel podcast. And I am so excited to have you join me. Today on the show, we have two fantastic travel advisors. Up first, we're going to be talking about getting ghosted. Now, interestingly enough, this conversation is about getting ghosted at a different part of the process than what a lot of others do, and why this is actually a benefit. Yeah, I said a benefit to getting ghosted at this point. But we're also going to be talking with another travel advisor who's kind of got a lot going on. And how do you find what's the right path? When you don't have enough bandwidth in your business, what can that actually do to your personal brand? What can that do to your business if you don't have the bandwidth? And how do you say no? Or should you say no? How do you do it all? Here's the key. You can't do it all. But I'm going to get into that in just a minute. But before we do, I want to make sure that if you're not already on the Curious to Booked waitlist, that you get there, because we're going to be opening the doors in just a few more weeks. In March of 2024, we're going to reopen the doors. We haven't had them open for several months already. And this is for anybody who's got clients who are just curious. You know, they've started to raise their hand. They're getting curious, going, I think I might want to book a trip. I'm not sure. How do you get them from being curious all the way through to the other end of being booked? Get on the wait list. Go to artofsellingtravel.com/waitlist so that you can make sure that you are one of the first ones to be aware, because I know this program is going to be hot stuff this year. We've got some amazing things planned in terms of group coaching and just getting your business off to the races. Because it doesn't matter how many people you've got coming into your funnel. Doesn't matter how many leads you're bringing in, everything else. It's like pouring water into a bucket. If there's no floor in the bottom of the bucket, everything falls out the holes at the bottom. So Curious to Booked is what's going to get your clients from being curious, where all the marketing's brought them into a point of getting them curious, to actually getting them booked. We're also going to help you a little bit figure out why possibly maybe not the right people are getting curious. But you can find that at artofsellingtravel.com/curious to get on the wait list. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get the shows.
Fantastic.
And welcome to the show, Alyssa. How can we help you?
Well, thank you so much for having me. I am excited to be here. I have several things that I would love to be able to talk about and get feedback on. One of my major issues that I seem to have a lot with is that people ghosting.
Okay.
I get a lot of I guess through DMs. I don't get much on phone or through email. It's mostly through DM, and
Okay.
it's mostly through my Facebook page. And they will say, "Hey, I would love to be able to go to such and such a place, like maybe to the Caribbean for an all-inclusive. Do you do things like that?" And usually I answer, yes, I would love to be able to help you with that. Just need to get a few bits of information from you. Why don't we hop on a chat? Here's my link. Would love to get up with you and learn more about this trip. And then nothing.
Okay.
They say, well, it's no hurry. And that's the end of it. It doesn't go any further than that.
Okay.
I will get them. I will send them. I'll wait maybe about a month or so, and then I will send them another information thing. Hey, we're talking about this great trip of yours, and wanted to know if if you're ready to move forward with this trip that you are wanting. And if so, I would love very much to talk to you.
Okay. So
Crickets.
I'm going to give you some good news.
Okay.
And that is that you're being using your term ghosted at this point rather than later on, after you've done the quotes and after you've done all the work and everything else, because that is something that a lot of advisors struggle with, is that they send them everything and then nothing. I am a huge proponent of let's get on a call so that we can work this out, because you're going to eliminate the tire kickers from those that are willing to invest a little bit of their time. So if they're not willing to invest any of their time and get anything set up, you don't want to work with them. There's a couple of things for that. One, sometimes this is how scammers are checking to see who they can work with. Because if you want to get them on a call, they're like, nope, she's going to pick us off, because scammers won't get on calls. That's a first and foremost. That's actually a really easy way to eliminate them out, because actually recently here inside the Facebook group, we did a little bit of a conversation about mistakes new advisors, but in particular newer ones make. And one of the things that came out was getting so excited by the inquiries that come in that we forget to double check a few things. And so a couple of advisors copied and pasted the exact emails that they were getting. And one wanted to go to one destination and one wanted to go to a different destination, but it was almost identical what it was that the scammers had put in there. So we see that a lot too with Facebook. They will send you a message. And if you're like, for sure, let me just go ahead and, because a lot of advisors will immediately go into, okay, let me get you a price. And this is a big part of Curious to Book in the signature program, why we don't encourage that. We want you to get them on a call, because you might actually be vetting out ones that are not good for you, first and foremost. So that's a huge thing to celebrate, that you are eliminating your risk, like you're mitigating your risks by trying to get them on those calls. And even as a whole, and this is, again, that core principle of it all, if they're not willing to invest 15 minutes to get set up with the best possible vacation, you should never be investing your time in them either, because otherwise they're just going to take it and they're going to book online. Or there's a lot of people that are like, I would love to go there one day. That's on my list. And that's one of the first things we do in Curious to Book is go through, is it an inquiry? Is it a curiosity? Which one is it? Because there's a difference between somebody who's like, oh, that would be awesome one day, and somebody, I'm looking to do this. And sometimes, especially when we're a newer advisor, when somebody, in the comments like, oh, that's so on my list, they're like, great, let me book it for you. And yet the people are like, no, I just said that's on my list. I meant like 15 years from now, not today. And so by them not wanting to book a call, they're already self-identifying, I'm not ready, or I'm not legit is also another popular one too that I'm seeing come through. But it's a really good way to reduce the amount of excess work. Because if you just said, okay, tell me what you're looking for, and there's no context to it, one, you don't have the information to give them the right answers. Two, it's no skin off their nose, as the saying goes. Like, they've got no skin in the game. So in which case, what you can do all you want, you can do all this work. They were like, I was just curious what the price was. Versus when you have those consultations, when you talk to them and they're, well, I really just need a ballpark. Great. Well, you're looking about between 3,000 and 5,000 per person, as opposed to then investing an hour or 2 or 10 or 20 into getting prices for somebody who doesn't actually want prices. It was a nice trip. It looked good. That's all there was. So we want to make sure, one, that any of the marketing that we're putting out, that it's speaking to a specific audience, that we're having a conversation with a specific audience, and that we're not using services that post stuff for us, because that tends to draw in a little bit more of the spam accounts. We also want to make sure that when somebody reaches out, and it's great, here's my link. I can't tell you, I recently did a promotion. It wasn't actually a promotion. It was an actual sales cycle. And I went through with a product, and the amount of people who asked for the sales page with legitimate travel sites and then never opened the DM that they asked for to get it. And I would get them almost like floods of them. And they would all come in at once and then they all disappeared. And I actually started looking at them like, are these pages even legit? Because so many of them had requested it. And so some of the pages, I'm like, no, I feel that page is legit. But then there was a few others. I'm like, are the bots just getting that much smarter that they're now coming up with better handles? I don't know. So there's a lot of factors at play. But to get ghosted at this point, that's the best time to get ghosted. And I know if you don't have a whole long lineup of inquiries coming in, getting ghosted sucks no matter what the point is.
Yeah.
But to do it before you do all the work is so much better. And that's also why I am a huge proponent of don't do the work until you've done the consultation.
I that's what I try to do. I don't, if they say, well, how much do you think, or what's the roundabout price of all of that? And I normally say, we'll discuss all of that during our conversation. And
So
it
one thing
helps.
I was going to say, one thing with that, I always, when they ask about the price, I say, well, just to double check, are you looking to actually book this? Or are you just looking for a ballpark so you can book it in a few years?
Oh, okay.
And if they say, well, actually, no, like depending where it shakes out, we'd like to go in the next little while here, or maybe this winter or within the next year or two. Great. Let's go through, do a full consultation. They're like, well, yeah, no, actually, it's what we're thinking of for like our 25th wedding anniversary, and we just celebrated our 20th. Oh, okay. In that case, this is the ballpark price of where it's at right now. Obviously, I don't have a crystal ball. I can't tell you what it's going to be in 5 years, but that's what you're looking at right now is in around this range. Because if you don't specifically ask those questions, they're not going to offer up that information. They just want to know what it's going to cost because they're trying to plan, they're trying to budget, especially for those bigger trips. They want to know, okay, so if in 5 years, so for example, for my 50th, I would love to go to French Polynesia. That is just right up on top of my list. That's still a few years away which is a good thing because I don't just have that laying around, collecting dust. So therefore, I know that's a trip I want to do. So I need to be putting aside about this much per year or this much per month so that when the time comes, boom, there we go. It's no big deal. And, and anytime we make a major purchase, we like to have an idea what that's going to cost, whether it's major home repairs, buying a house, buying a car, whatever it is. I search around to get an idea of what different cars cost. I'm not in the market for a car, but I like to keep an idea of what it is. Since 2020, I'm like, we don't need a new car, like ever. Because the pricing, at least here in Canada, is ridiculous for what new cars cost. So I was like, well, we'll just go till they just don't go no more. And in the meantime, we'll just put some money aside and know, okay, well, if we were making payments, we'd be putting this much away every month. So we'll just do that. And when the time comes, we'll just pull it out and we'll buy what we can buy at that point. But people have a curiosity. They want to know about what things cost. Sometimes I would have clients that would inquire, well, it's because they were friends with so and so and they know so and so just booked this type of trip. So they want to know how much so and so spent. People are weird. They just, it's all levels of weird. So, yes, the best time if you're going to get ghosted is before you even do the consultation. There's a whole other plethora of reasons why they may ghost later. But that's not this conversation. So, okay.
All right. Well, thank you so
Nice.
much.
You are so very welcome.
Okay.
Welcome back. We got Jamila on the line. And Jamila, you are a frequent flyer. I love it. What's your question today?
Well, today I am dealing with I have in a travel business and an event business. So my company does both, or my agency. So I do book events for clients. Usually they're conferences or some of varying sizes, and I plan those out. 12 years doing that. Then I do retreats for masterminds or leadership retreats, as well as company retreats, team retreats, and then the travel business, leisure travel, which tends to be those clients saying, now, can you book my family trip? I need to book a trip with my husband or wife, depending on who my client is. And then, so that's all the three things, but they
Okay.
start referring me to people that they know that are like them, busy professionals, leaders. And so I start to get overwhelmed because I can't do it all. I do have some staff, but it's still a lot falls on me because they all know me.
Okay.
And I'm finding I'm getting overwhelmed with the travel part of my business. I don't want to stop doing it, but I need to figure out what to do with that part of my business and probably the retreat part, because that tends to fall into event
Mm-hmm.
and travel.
Mm-hmm.
To make it where when those come in, I know that's an immediate yes, or I could just feel comfortable saying, I can't take this on, not because I'm busy, but because it has to be another reason, because something I need to do to filter the travel part of my business. So when I'm planning 2 large conferences and travel requests are coming in, it doesn't feel overwhelming for me and those who are part of my team.
Okay. So what if you just said, I don't have the bandwidth to take on anything else in this time frame?
I could do that. I could do time frame.
Yeah.
Um,
I know something that I did a lot, especially my last couple of years of selling travel, is I only have room left for X amount of clients this month. Did you want on my schedule? And I limited to the number of clients. And so right there, when you start to make it a little bit more exclusive, a little bit more exclusatory, if you will, it also gave you the space to be able to say, you know what, this isn't in the frame of what I'm willing to take on at this current moment. And perhaps you do have somebody else that you work with that you can refer them off to. Or if it's something that you're like, oh, I would love to do it, I legitimately don't have the bandwidth, discuss with them about changing their dates. Because maybe that's not what it is. Because if they wanted to go to a very specific hotel, what's the one thing that has to be there? Availability of the hotel. You need to make sure that there's availability of Jamila.
Okay.
And so therefore, your preferred, your favorites, proactively reach out to them and say, as my calendar is filling, I want to make sure I'm getting you on the books. When are you looking for your next one? So I can go ahead and get you locked into my calendar because I'm beginning to turn away clients.
Okay. That feels nice. I like that because I never, like I said yes to a client that wanted to plan. She runs a business. I've planned events for her. And last year, I did 2 events in a row for her. And family trip to Jackson Hole, Wyoming, Grand Canyon, and Colorado, just wherever she can ski for January, February, March, all 3 like back to back, because then she gets busy with work. And I don't book outside of California, that whole state. I can book with my eyes closed. I don't really enjoy booking that much in North America because I don't know the product. I do for events, but because that's where a lot of my events are at. But it's just I got stuck because I said yes, and I was like, oh man. I got her out of Jackson Hole and moved her to Lake Tahoe. It was better in January, but that was just using research. But I got stuck in a hole, and I should have said no to that client because I'm very busy, and I also didn't book the type of trips that she wanted. Yeah, this feels good.
The other thing is when you find that your book is full, it's time to increase your rates.
Okay, and she did pay my fee like for all 3 trips right away, but that means it wasn't high enough.
Exactly. But the thing is, though, is like if you were a photographer, if you are full out for wedding season, you do not have a single opening. Are you going to charge the same rate next wedding season?
No, and I did raise my rates for events drastically because I got booked out last year so much.
Awesome.
And now it feels good. But for travel, I still have the same rate that I charge. So that would help. What about also my taking on what I also thought, and my husband, he's the project manager with our business. He said, you got to stop taking trips that you don't know, even like it's just not your thing.
He's brilliant.
Because oh, okay. He is. I have to agree.
If you don't want to do those ones, if you know it's going to take you an excess of research, if you know you can't execute them at the level you want to, are you hurting your own personal brand?
Yeah, mentally, physically. I feel terrible
Exactly.
because I want to care for them, but also it doesn't make me look good that they would want to refer my right clients to me.
Right.
Yeah. Or come to me when they're booking the type of, I want to be more clear. These are the trips I book. Like if it was Ireland, and it's Ireland. If it's not that one country, but I really have picked the type of trips I like to book, and I get excited about those, and they're easy to book. I have relationships with DMCs that make those trips easier once I get the consultation and I work with them, and it's not all on my brain. But of course I make sure that it makes sense when it comes to me. But I'm booking trips that require me to do a lot of the research, and I don't enjoy them if I don't know the area well. So this is helpful. You've given me 3 things I can do with the travel part of my business. I like this a lot.
So,
I appreciate it.
Just to wrap up, we want to be conscious of the fact that when we take on things that are completely out of our zone of genius and we don't want to do them, we're going to pull down our own personal brand because it will not execute at the same level that you expect to have as part of your brand. But the other thing is it's going to take time away from other clients, other projects, other things. So not only are you harming your brand in the fact that you're not going to be able to do it the way you want to, but you're harming your brand because you're taking time away from the projects that you excel at, which also in turn means you're taking away your own profitability.
That's true.
So when we put those three things together, how much easier is it to say to a client, I appreciate the inquiry and I love working with you on these types of projects, but unfortunately for this particular scope, this is outside of what I am willing to do, or just simply it's not in my own personal frame of reference. If you want to build a retreat in Colorado, no problem. I can hook you up with that. But a ski vacation is a little bit different on the leisure side. But let me go ahead and connect you with somebody else.
I like that.
And who knows?
Feels so good.
Maybe this becomes an expansion down the road where you expand your own sales team. So you do have people who can help with those types of things. But that's going to take another degree of bandwidth. So you're going to have to, this is kind of where you're in the fork in the road. Are you going to start turning them down, or are you going to develop a second arm of your travel business where somebody else takes it on? If it's not a big part of your business, I don't know if that's necessarily the right decision, but you're the only one that can make that decision right now.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I mean, even when you said it, I was shaking my head. No, I wouldn't want to build out my travel business to accommodate them. I actually want to become known that this is the type of travel that Jamila books. And those getaways are for CEOs that want to get away. And they tend to be certain destinations. So I think I'm going to stick to a lot of what you said and create the space for the retreats. And of course the events, and make travel just what I love to do in a way that I love to do it. Thank you so much.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much. And we will catch you on another call.
Thanks.
I just love the different types of questions that travel advisors bring. And I know a lot of times these questions might be something you're already thinking. So why not, if you're struggling with something, you come on the show. artofsellingtravel.com/on-air. You're going to get to ask your question. We're going to chat for about 10 minutes. We're going to go in. We're going to get you the answer to the thing that has you stuck. And it's not just going to help you. It's going to help lots of other advisors just like you. Don't forget, check out the show notes. I'm going to link up the link so that you can become a guest on air, but also so you can get on the wait list. If you're not already on the wait list for Curious to Book, you're going to want to get there, because this is the signature sales program of the travel industry. It is built based on my own personal success of multiple millions of dollars in travel sales throughout my career. We're going to talk through objections. We're going to talk what it is that actually makes people say yes. What prevents them from saying yes? What is a reflex response versus actual reasons and thought processes to everything that goes on when making a buying decision? Buying travel is one of the larger purchases a person makes in their life. College tuition, cars, homes, travel. Those make up the top 4 biggest investments or biggest expenses in people's lives. You are in the top 5 of the biggest purchases your clients are going to make in their life. We need to make sure that we have all of the right skills to give them the confidence to know that we are the right choice so that they're able to comfortably and confidently say yes to the trip. Okay, until next time, happy selling.